Hi, my name is Teresa Quant. Welcome to my TPT conference session, Becoming a Teacher Author Boss. BOSS standing for Building Outstanding Schedules and Spaces. But before we get started, I want to go over a few things. At the top of your handout, you'll see a link to a Facebook group. Make sure you join. I'm going to be doing a lot of giveaways this week throughout the whole conference, and we're going to be giving away things like an Erin Condren planner, and Inkjoy pens, and gift cards to Amazon and Target. So make sure you join the group so that you can be a part of the giveaways. But not only that, I want to extend the conversation from today into our group for the whole month of July so that we can get ready for the back to school time on TPT and we can be the best teacher author bosses we can be. Now, before we get into the session, I also want to introduce myself and give you a little information about my TPT journey. So a little bit about me. I graduated from the University of Utah in 2009 with a degree in elementary education. My whole life I wanted to be a teacher. I really didn't see any other path for me. It was ingrained in me. It's what I always wanted to do. And in the fall of 2009, I got my first teaching position. I taught sixth grade in an elementary school, and I stayed in that position for 5 years. And during that time, I also became EMINT certified, which means I got my technology endorsement. I'm married to Shane, who is my best friend and my biggest TPT support cheerleader. He is always there supporting me and cheering me on, even on my days when I'm down on myself or I want to give up. He's there reminding me that I can do this. We have 3 wonderful children. Our son is 9 and our daughters are 6 and 3. I love to read and watch Netflix when I have time, which isn't very often. But when I do, my favorite shows are the British shows, or my favorite books to read are usually historical fiction. I also love ice cream. I'll choose that dessert over almost anything. And my very first love was Harry Potter. He taught me to really love and enjoy reading, and it's been fun. I've been able to read the books with my kids over the last couple of years and instill that joy and love of reading with them as well. Here are some pictures of my family and me. My husband and I right here. And then over spring break, we took our kids to Disney World, and that was a lot of fun. Also, we taught our kids how to ski this winter. With Utah boasting the best snow on earth, I mean, it only made sense, right? I grew up skiing, but our 2 oldest kids have never gone. So that was fun this year to teach them how to do that. And then this is when I graduated, and here are a picture of our 3 children. About my TPT journey, I started my store in March of 2013. I kind of just started it on a whim. I didn't have a lot of, I didn't really know where I wanted to take it. I had heard about TPT at a conference a few months prior from a teacher at a science conference. And he had said that he posted some lesson plans online and he made about $50 a month. And I was blown away. I thought that was so cool. And I didn't think anyone would be interested in my lesson plans. But man, if they could and I could spend $50 a month and buy a new outfit, that would just be awesome. But I kind of put it on the back burner and I didn't think about it. And then one night after a long day of teaching, I came home, we put our son to bed, and I was grading a giant stack of papers on the couch. And I look over and my husband is working on a little side hustle of his own. And I thought, well, if he can, I can definitely do my own little business too. So I went into our office and I opened my TPT shop. I didn't know what I was doing, and I sat down and I opened Microsoft Word and I made my first product. I called it a Moon Phases Foldable. And the next day, I actually sold one. And I was so thrilled. It was only up for $1, and I wasn't a premium member, so I only made 30 cents. And I was so excited. I was telling everyone, but no one really understood really why I was so excited. But it was because someone needed my work, and someone needed my help, and I was able to help them. And someone wanted my creation. I just thought that was so cool. So it took a little bit of time, but with encouragement, I definitely got excited with my store. And my first goal was to be able to pay for groceries every month. That was my initial goal, was we wanted to pay for groceries. I was still a full-time teacher, and our son, like I said, had just turned 1. And sometimes I got a little discouraged, but it really only took a few cells and encouragement for that attitude to change. I never would have dreamed that this is where my life would lead me. I never would have thought I would have been an entrepreneur, but if I had to, I would choose it all over again. There's been a lot of long days and long nights, and I'm constantly learning new skills, but it's so fun to be able to run my own business and stay connected to the education world and help teachers all over the country and world, really. It's just been a lot of fun. It's been a challenge, but definitely a fulfilling one. Now, in the beginning, I told you about the Moon Phases foldable, and we're not going to be talking about trademark or covers in this session, but I didn't know at the time that foldable was trademarked. So now this product is called something else. And also, I was only using free clip art that I had, and I really hadn't gotten my eye or style down for covers and products yet, but this is what I had. And I was really proud of it at the time. Even though the fonts don't match and it doesn't really say or scream Moon Phases right in the cover, and I have the credits on the cover, it's just a mess. But the point is that I tried. I started where I was. I believed in myself, which is what you need to do first. And I went ahead and I posted my first product. Now, over the past 8 years, I've grown and I've learned a lot of new skills like taking photography, doing videos, making printables, all of that, making digital products. And I've been able to grow my business to where it is today. And so if I can do it, you can too. Now, I don't take all of my own videos and pictures anymore, but I still do sometimes. And when we talk about building and setting up your office space, we'll talk about why it's important to have to be able to do that. So if you need to print something off on the fly and really get it set up in your store or get it promoted on Facebook or Instagram, you'll be ready and you can print it off right then and there and take pictures. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Now, as we get started in this session, I want to start with something called a brain sweep. We're going to clear our mind of can't. We're going to take all those ideas that are cluttered up in our head of TPT and we're going to put them down on paper. With your handout, you can either write on your paper or you can type it. But I want you to go ahead and I want you to take all those ideas and we're going to sort them out on paper. Having a messy mind is like having a messy desk. When your desk is messy, you can't work, you can't think, it's just chaos. So we're going to take all that chaos in our mind and we're going to start organizing it this week. Now, in your handout, I have different brain sweep sections. A lot of people might call this a brain dump or a brainstorm. Brain sweep, same thing. So we're going to talk about product creation, blog posts, social media, marketing, and miscellaneous. And we're going to write ideas down in all of these. Now, it might it might take you more than just a few minutes in this session to write all your ideas down. You might actually have to do this over the next few days, and that's okay. As you're going through the conference session, keep these pages close so you can write down all your ideas that you want to focus on for the upcoming back to school and school year. So for product creation, let's think about what are you working on? Or what 5 projects are you currently working on that need to be finished up? What new ideas do you have? What is one product you have always wanted to create but haven't yet? I always seem to have this one product that I want to get done and I either can't find the time or I don't believe I'm good enough to do it, which is a horrible attitude and you have to change that. You are capable of making those products. So think of that product you've always wanted and I want you to write it down and fit it in your schedule this year. What original content ideas do you have for the upcoming year? Okay, so the word there is original content ideas. That's what's going to make or break you on TPT, original content ideas. Blog posts. All right, if you have a blog, what blog ideas do you have? Do you have products you could write blog posts about? What seasonal blog posts do you want to write and when should you post them? Because if it's back to school time, right now it's July and back to school time starts in August and September, those blog posts should have been posted yesterday. So you have to really be thinking ahead about when you want to post those so that they can get the traction and the eyes on them when the season and time is right. So when are you going to post those seasonal blog posts? All right, social media. Facebook plans. What are your Facebook plans? Instagram plans? Pinterest plans, TikTok plans. I want to tell you a little story. When I went to the first TPT conference session, or TPT conference, it was in Las Vegas, and I was so excited to go. I was a new seller. I felt like my store was doing pretty good, but I wanted to get some ideas. And I remember going to this session, and they were talking about how you needed your social media trifecta. And that was going to be Facebook, Pinterest, and a blog. And I had none of it. And I was overwhelmed and I wanted to give up. And I thought, I'm just not good enough. That's just not going to work for me. And I went home very excited, but frustrated that I wasn't doing the right thing. But I want you to know that I decided to choose just one of those things to work on. And I chose Facebook. And I worked really hard at getting good at Facebook and learning how to use it for my business. And so you don't have to be everything at once to be a successful business. You can start and take baby steps. You'll hear a lot of people say TPT is a marathon, not a sprint. And that's true. It takes time and it builds on itself. So if you can't focus on all of these for this year, that's okay. Just pick one area that you want to focus on and get really good at. And then once you get that mastered, move on to the next. Are there any other social media things you need to work on? All right, with our marketing, is advertising on your radar? And if so, what is your plan for it? Will you be creating pins, videos for social media, doing giveaways? Do you have a regular newsletter or email you send out? What marketing ideas do you want to focus on your business this year? And then miscellaneous. Are there other things that I haven't covered for you in the handout that you really want to focus on? Are you starting a YouTube channel? Are you doing a podcast? Are there courses you think you want to create? Whatever that is, go ahead and write that down of things you'd like to focus on. Get it out of your brains so you're not cluttered and we can really focus and organize our thoughts. Get as many ideas as you can, but remember that you might have to take over the next couple of days to really get it solidified and finalized. Now, getting the motivation to work and start your TPT business and to really take off, that part is easy. The hard part is then getting in a consistent habit where this now is just what you do. So motivation is what gets you started, but habit is what's going to keep you going. And really, habits are what is going to make you successful in this area of business. So steps to creating a happy habit. What is a happy habit? A happy habit is just that. It's something that makes you happy. So when you think about working on TPT, you want to be excited about doing it. You do not want to dread it and think, oh, I have to do this again. I mean, there's going to be moments in your business where you're going to have to do things that are monotonous. Answering questions, answering emails. But those are things that have to be done. So think of some happy habits that get you excited to work and that you know you can accomplish and be good at. So first step in making a happy habit. Make it simple. In fact, so simple that you cannot fail. So let's say that your first goal is you want to work 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday on TPT. Now, 1 hour a day, maybe that's a lofty goal for you. So start with 20 or 30 minutes a day and master that small increment for maybe a week or two until you feel confident that you can do that. And then build on that till you get the hour a day or the 3 hours a day or the 4 hours a day or whatever it is. Or maybe your habit is you want to make sure you're consistently posting on Instagram. So start with 1 story post a day and get good at that for a week or two. Then start doing 2 stories a day, but make it so you don't fail so that you feel confident and you believe in yourself and you want to keep going. And then slowly increase your habit like we talked about. And then once your habit is mastered to a level you like, add a new habit. So once you're working the amount you want on the days you want, start a new habit. Maybe you want to do 1 product a week. So you want to build up to making 1 product a week. Whatever that habit is, go ahead and start thinking about that and writing it on your handout. Now, what are some happy habits for a scheduling teacher, author, boss that we can think about? The first one that I think is really important is long-term planning. So you need to be really thinking ahead about what kind of products you want to make for the school year. So if it's back to school time, you shouldn't be making those products in September. You should be making them in May or the summertime. If you want to have some Halloween products, let's not post them in October. Let's post them before so that you're getting eyes and views on those products. So think about, with long-term planning, when and how you're going to create your products. How about scheduling fewer tasks to become more productive? That kind of sounds like a habit that's counterintuitive. But the fewer tasks you have, the more successful you're going to be. If you have all these tasks in front of you and you're just doing a little bit at a time, chipping away, and you feel really, really busy, but you're not getting anything done, that's not going to help you. So scheduling fewer tasks and accomplishing those before moving on is a good habit to take. Space out and schedule your deadlines. I don't like to have everything that I want done all due the same day, like let's say at the end of the month. I like to really space out my schedule so my deadlines don't all fall at the same time where I'm frustrated or where I get anxious. I just like to spread them out. That's easier for me. Schedule social media. We'll talk about when and how to schedule social media in a little bit, but that's another habit you can create. You might think, oh, I'll remember to post to Instagram every day, but you won't. It's hectic. Your life gets in the way. Teaching gets in the way if you're still in the classroom. If you have kids, your toddlers are going to get in the way. So you need to make sure that you are scheduling time or scheduling your social media. Now, part about being a teacher, author, boss is a balancing act. And balance is not something you find, but it's something you yourself are going to create. You don't need to be everything to be successful. And I really hope I've drilled that into you so far in this session. But you need to start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. When I started TPT, I just had my one monitor screen in my office that was really also a shared office space, and then it turned into our bedroom. And you just start where you are and you use what you have and you do what you can, and as you go, you'll slowly increase your resources and the things you have to build your business. One of my very favorite things about being a teacher, author, boss is that you are too creative for 9 to 5. You do not need to have a set schedule of 9 to 5 to be successful. In fact, a little bit of progress every day adds up to big results. One of my very favorite things about being a teacher, author, boss is that I don't need to be tied down to 7 to 3, 9 to 5. I can squeeze in my work throughout the day, what best suits my schedule and my time. But what's important is keeping something consistent and having consistency and quality. That's what's key over speed and quantity, okay? Consistency and quality is what's going to make you successful. So you need to make sure you have a consistent schedule. Creating a consistent teacher boss schedule looks something like this. First, you need to define your hours. Now, some people might call it a split shift, so they might work in the morning and then they might then go work in the evening. Or they might be lucky enough that they can work on their business from 9 to 5. Or maybe you're still in the classroom and you just work on the weekends. Or you're an early bird and you like to work in the mornings. Or you're like me and you're a night owl and you like to work at night. But whatever it is, first, find what works for you. Then recognize your distractions. Instagram is a big one for me. I could sit there scrolling for what I think is only a few minutes and then an hour passes by. So recognize your distractions and make sure you can regulate those so you can really tackle your tasks at hand. Set specific times for household chores so that you can make sure you get those done when they need to be. Or hire help if that's going to help so that you can work on your business and not have to worry about the chores constantly. Sometimes you can find a balance between the two as well. Also, this one sounds funny, but it is so important. You need to make sure that you create an end-of-day ritual that you enjoy doing and look forward to. For me, it's catching up on a show or reading a book. It's kind of like a reward for me. When I've worked hard all day and into the night, I can say, okay, now I get to watch my favorite show and then I can go to sleep and start over fresh. So make sure that you have a ritual, whether it's grabbing a snack, going for a walk, talking to your friends, maybe it's browsing social media, reading the news, whatever it is you want to do that you feel like will be a reward for you. Make sure you have a good evening ritual. So I'm going to go over my example schedule for you. And as I'm talking about my schedule, be thinking about your schedule and your days and what they look like and when it would be realistic to add in TPT time. Now, when I tell people about my schedule, sometimes they're really surprised because I feel like they think I just create something and poof, it's on the internet and all of a sudden I'm making money. That's not how it works. It is a lot of time. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of late nights. But if you're dedicated and you're consistent and you have a schedule and you have habits, you can make it work. So this is my example schedule. So in the morning, not every morning do I go to the gym, but on the days I do, I wake up early. I go to the gym for about an hour. Then when I come home, I shower and I do chores. I'm going to play with my toddler at this time too. Right now I have a son in 3rd grade and a daughter who's in kindergarten and another daughter who's not yet in school. So then I'm able to work while the older two are in school until about 11:45. Then at that time, the kindergartner comes home. Now, once she's in school full time and my youngest is in preschool, this might change a little bit. But then after she gets home, that's when I'm doing carpools, play dates, errands, chores, and sometimes I can squeeze in TPT, but I can't count on it. I do not like to make my consistent time to work on TPT in the afternoon between 12 to 4. That is not going to happen for me, and I need to just know that. And that if I do have time to work on it then great. But if not, it's okay because I have a built-in time that I do it every night that I know I can get to. 4 to 7:30 is always family time, dinner, homework. And then at 7:30, my husband gets the kids ready for bed, puts them to bed around 8, and then I work. And I work now until about 11 or 11:30 in the evening. That's just what works for me. It's where I get my best ideas. The house is quiet. My husband's working on his own hobbies and his own things. And this is when I can really focus and work on my business. Now, the 11 and 11:30 has really only been going the last couple of years. The beginning of my business, the first 5, maybe even 6 years, I was up until midnight, 2 in the morning, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, working on TPT. And it was consistent at least several times a week up that late. But now that where I want to be, I'm only up until about 11 or 11:30. And then I get to do my evening ritual and either watch a show or read a book. This is something that my husband and I have agreed on and we have done consistently for the last 8 years, just that evening ritual. There have been so many times where he took babies and he held them at night and rocked them to sleep and I was working on TPT. So you need to find what works for you, and maybe you're an early bird and you like to wake up in the morning. Maybe you only have time on the weekends and that's fine, but find what works for you and make sure it's consistent. Now, there are going to be times in the day, like I said, where you have a few minutes here and there, and I bet you've thought, oh, I wish I could do something on TPT. Well, guess what? You can. And we're going to talk about how you can be a boss in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and so on. And if you join the Facebook group, we're going to continue this conversation all through the month of July, and we'll talk about and hear what other people have for ideas for what you can do if you only have a few short minutes here and there. So how could you be a boss in just 10 minutes? If you only have 10 minutes to work on TPT, you can make a meme or quote for social media. And some of my favorite apps for this include WordSwag and Canva. And you can just get those on your phone, and maybe you're driving in the car, your spouse is driving and you're in the passenger seat and you're quickly making some memes. Maybe you're waiting for your toddlers to finish up lunch or whatever it is and you have a few minutes, go ahead and make those and fit those in. There are times where my kids are eating and I'm hurrying and taking pictures in the office and then running back to help them just so that I can squeeze in those extra little tasks. You could post on Facebook. You could post on Instagram, either in your stories or your feed real quick. You could write out your schedule for the week. You could interact on social media. You could edit photos. And my favorite app for this is Lightroom. And you're probably thinking, you can't edit a photo in 10 minutes or several photos, but you can. If you have your office space set up right and your photos are taken and you're using Lightroom app, then you can use the presets you already have in the app or that you've bought, and you can quickly edit all your photos in 10 minutes. Lightroom is really good. Also, you could answer questions or comments on TPT. Now, what if you had 20 minutes? How could you be a teacher boss in just 20 minutes? Well, you could create or film content for Instagram Reels or TikTok. You could film a quick Facebook or Instagram Live about a product. You could catch up on emails. You could post a pin or two on Pinterest with detailed descriptions. You could just do some regular pinning. You could create a pin, and I love using Canva. And then what if you had 30 minutes? What could you do in just 30 minutes? You could create a product preview, create a product cover. I say 30 minutes. Sometimes I can get a cover done in 15 minutes, sometimes in an hour. But 30 minutes, about average, once you've got a template going, you can do covers pretty quick. Take product photos. Again, if it's set up correctly in your office, that really is doable. Write an email to your subscribers. Post a completed product to TPT, create a reel for Instagram, write copy for social media, or begin or continue editing a product. Now, what if you had 45 minutes? Now, in a 45-minute session, if you had 45 minutes to work, that's a really good chunk of time to work on product creation. So that's always going to be my number one suggestion, but sometimes there's other things you need to work on in your business. So what other things could you do besides product creation? You could set up an ad or two for Facebook. And I say that for 45 minutes because I always think it's not going to take as long as it does. And then 30, 40 minutes rolls by and I've done one. So just make sure you figure out how long it takes you, and maybe it's less. Set up a couple promoted pins, same thing. I always think it's going to be shorter than it is, and it always ends up being closer to 45 minutes for me. Create a more detailed preview video. And then what if you have 60 minutes or more to be a teacher, author, boss? Well, of course, number one, I would say work on product creation. But what are other tasks that you may have to do? Write a blog post for a product, scheduled Facebook posts for the entire month. That would only be one day. Get copy written for Instagram posts for the month. Again, one day and it's done. Or edit a resource so it's ready to be posted on TPT. Or update an old resource. So those are just some quick, fun ideas if you only have a few spare minutes here and there. Now, on your handout, you're going to see a daily schedule snapshot template. I want you to think about, when do you have time realistically in the morning, afternoon, and or evening to work on TPT, and what days realistically can you work on TPT? Get that written down so that you can start a consistent habit of when you work. I also have some fun scheduling tips and tricks that I'd love to go over with you, because you can dream about it or you can work to make it happen. And these are some scheduling tips that I use when I'm scheduling and I'm working on TPT, and just how to schedule my time and things like that. So first, what should you be scheduling in your business? Well, first off, product creation. When and how are you going to create your product? Virtual assistants. What and when will they be creating products for you? Social media, marketing, blogs, your home life, healthy life, and just your time for you. When you have time, hopefully you can fit that in, because you should. Now, these are events you need to remember in your scheduling process. I'm not going to go over each one. It is in your handout so you can see it. And I tried to leave space on your handout so you can add to it, because there's going to be things on here that I didn't include that you like to do on specific months. Like I'm seeing, I didn't add the 100th day of school, and I know that's really popular. So that usually happens in January or February. So make sure you're thinking about those important dates so that you're doing your long-term planning and you know what type of products you need to have and when. Again, here's the second half of the year. And now I am really excited about the Teacher Author Boss Google Sheets that I've created for you. There's a link on your handout for them. I have a Teacher Author Boss product creation schedule, a Teacher Author Boss budget worksheet, and a Teacher Author Boss daily task schedule. And we're going to take a minute and I'm going to walk you through each one and how they can help you with your business. Let's take a look at these Google Sheets. So the first one we're going to look at is called the Teacher Author Boss Product Creation Schedule. And you can find these in your conference handout just on the first page, so you can link to them and look at them quickly. So the first thing you're going to do is here on the left, you can put all the different projects you're working on. Then you're going to include your tasks that are needed for each product, and then the start and end date. Now, what's really cool about this is the date here, that's what today's date is. And it's going to tick down each day you go. So tomorrow, this will say 5/26, and this will say June 12th. So it's a really good visual, and you can see as your timelines shrink how much time you have left to complete each task. So let's say, for instance, you're like, you know what, on Center 1, I actually can't work on that until May 28th, and it will finish June 1st. And this one is going to start June 1st, and it won't end until the 4th. And so on and so forth. And you can see on this task here that its end date is June 17th, so it goes off the page. But what will happen is as this ticks down to the 17th, that end date will eventually appear on your calendar. And you can go in and change the color of these to be your brand colors. But this is what this looks like for me. And I think it's a very useful tool as you're scheduling your products. The next Google Sheet you have is the Teacher Author Boss Daily Task Schedule. You can write out your tasks for the week, either a day at a time or a week at a time. And as you complete each task, go ahead and just check it off the list. I love checking things off a list, so I think this one's a lot of fun. The last Google Sheet you'll see is the Teacher Author Boss Budget Worksheet. Scheduling out your budget is a really important part of your business, not just for taxes, but you also need to know your spend on everything you're using for your business. And it might be more or maybe less if you're lucky than what you think. But let's say, for instance, you're on Pinterest and you say, okay, I spent $100 this month on Pinterest. Okay, it ticks up here in the subtotal spend to $170 and your total spend to $605. You might think, oh, I bought a planner. I bought a planner for $59. So now that's $84 and this is up to $664. It's a really easy way to just keep track of your money, and then you can go ahead and duplicate this page for the following month. And then you have a running total of everything you've spent on your business. All right, now that I've shown you the Teacher Author Boss Google Sheets, I want to show you the Teacher Author Boss binder. So this is something you can print off and put in a binder. In fact, I have right here, just in the binder. So you can print off the calendars and you can schedule everything and write it out how you want, so you can have like a mapping of what you want to do throughout the year. So each month will look like this. So for example, you have September at a glance. You have product creation. What products will you be working on in September? So take things from your brain sweep and I want you to put them into your calendar, your product creation. And then here you have all your social media. What will you be doing for that month in each of those areas? And then other, maybe you're doing a giveaway. Maybe you have some marketing ideas. And then you have a calendar to quickly write down what you're going to work on each day that you can do there. And then I just have some fun motivational quotes also scattered throughout the binder. Also, you can put these other inserts in them. You have pages that you can do new ideas. I always have a running list of ideas. And you know, some make the cut and some don't. But it's nice to have all those ideas down on paper so I can refer back to them as needed. I also have a future product planner page. It's actually 2 pages where you have your idea when you're ready to go, and you can start planning out just the bare bones of how it's going to work, how long it's going to take, who's working on which part, etc. And then blog post ideas, just get all those topics and ideas. Same thing, like you might not use every single one of them, but it's great to have a list of topics that you can refer back to as the year goes on. Then your top 5 goals for the year, and newsletter ideas to send out to your subscribers on your email list. I like to tie a lot of those ideas to my blog post or product creation. All right, now here are some great tips for when you're working on TPT and when you're scheduling. How can you schedule your time so that you can maximize your time and be the best teacher, author, boss you can be? Well, there's this one trick called batching, and if you haven't heard of it, then you really need to listen closely because it is one of the greatest ways I found that works for me when I'm working. Batching, a lot of times will increase your focus and reduce your stress and increase your productivity. So what you're going to do is you're going to make a list of all your to-dos, everything you need to do. And maybe you want to do it for the day, or maybe you want to spread it out for the week, but it's going to be up to you. So make your list of all your to-dos. Then you're going to prioritize what is most important. And then after that, you're going to group all your similar tasks together. So group all your emails together, group product creation all together, group social media, all of your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, group that all together, video creation, photography, group those things together. Then what you're going to do is you're going to schedule and make a plan, and you're going to say, okay, on Monday night, I'm going to be doing product creation. Tuesday, I'm going to be doing photos, or maybe you're going to say from 3 to 4, I'm going to be doing product creation, and 5 to 8, I'm going to be doing videos and social media. However you want to do that, go ahead and then schedule out those similar tasks. This way, instead of jumping around from task to task, you're completing all your similar tasks on your list for the day at once before moving on. So you're not answering an email here, then working on a page or two of your product creation, and then, I have to hurry and post to Facebook. If you do it in batches, you're going to feel more productive and accomplish more, rather than feeling at the end of the day that you're so tired and you worked so hard, but you didn't accomplish anything. So batching is a great way to really be productive. Another great scheduling trick that I like is called the MIT method, or the most important task method. And when you look at your list for the day, there's really going to only be about 3 things that are the most important to finish that day. That way you don't have to worry about trying to accomplish all the things, because you could be working on TPT 24/7 every day and you'll never finish. There will always be something you have to do. So just pick the top 3 essential tasks and work on those. Then if you complete those 3 tasks, go ahead and move on to the rest of your tasks you need to accomplish. Another popular scheduling method is called the Pomodoro method, and it comes from the orange tomato timer that you see in a lot of kitchens. You don't actually need the tomato timer. You can just use a timer on your phone. But what you're going to do is you're going to set a 25-minute timer, and you're going to get rid of all your distractions. You're going to turn off the internet. You're going to turn off your phone. You're going to make sure the TV is off, and you're going to focus just on the task at hand for 25 minutes. Then once the timer goes off, you're going to take a short 5-minute break. Maybe you're going to get up and walk around the house. Maybe you're going to go get a snack. Maybe you will check social media or your phone at that time. Whatever it is, take a short 5-minute break. After 4 Pomodoro periods, take a longer 30-minute break. Maybe it's to eat dinner, maybe it's to go on a longer walk around the neighborhood, maybe you read a couple chapters in a book, but take a longer break and then go back and do more 25-minute increments as needed. This is a great way to really get you to focus when you have time crunch and a deadline that's coming up. Another method I like to use is just reminders, and it's so simple, but I have reminders on my phone for everything. I have a reminder that goes off every Monday to remind me to schedule and write an email, because sometimes I don't have them scheduled all out and I have to hurry and write one. But you would think I'd remember every night to do that, every Monday night, but I don't. And you would think it'd be really easy to remember to post to social media every day, but it isn't. So I do have timers on my phone when I want to do live postings and things like that. So that's another trick I use, is just reminders on my phone. Now, there are a bunch of scheduling apps that you can use to schedule social media, and I'll go over a couple of my favorites. The first one, the easy one, the free one, is your Facebook scheduler, and that's something that you can use to schedule Facebook, and it's called Creator Studio. I feel like they're changing it all the time, but if you're keeping up with the changes, it's not too overwhelming. So you'll put your post in your Facebook, and then you'll write something at the top, probably something more than just LOL, but that's my example. Then you'll go ahead and you'll set a date and a time for when it's going to be published, and you can schedule out as many as you want. I really find this to be a very handy, easy tool to use. My other favorite scheduling app is called Smarter Q, and I feel like it's pretty reasonably priced for a year subscription, but you can add all your social media profiles, and you can use it for Facebook or Instagram and even Pinterest, which I want to try soon. But I love it because you can set these categories and then you can schedule them out all through the month, even all through the year. So with these categories, they can be evergreen and they can be recycled because on Facebook, it's just such a small percentage of your audience that sees your post. So it can schedule it to recycle your post every few weeks, every few months, whatever you want. Or you can have themes for your categories, like I have back to school, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I pause them for each month, so you're not seeing Halloween in December. But so the following year, I have some Halloween posts that are ready to go, and I can add to it and use the ones that are already in my Smarter Queue. You can also browse social media to find content to share. And then it's great on Instagram. You can see the grid of what it's going to look like when you post. You can schedule stories. I like to do stories live too, but it's also a great option to schedule stories. There's also analytics on Smarter Q, so you know the best times to post for you, and you also know what posts are performing the best. And it will send you a weekly update of how all of your stats are going for all of your social media. Another fun scheduling app I like is just the Microsoft To Do. It's just a to-do list, but sometimes you don't have your Google Sheets that I've given you handy. But I mean, I guess it is on your phone, on your sheets, but you could also just use the app. I like to do this too. It's really simple. You can put your categories here at the bottom. And so this is my TPT presentation to-do list. And as I accomplish each task, you can do the check mark here. Now, these aren't all scheduling apps, but some of them are. They're just other good organization, websites, apps, whatever, that I think are great when you're scheduling. So Airtable is something I use with some of my virtual assistants, and it's a really easy, great way to stay organized. Tailwind, I have used before for Pinterest. I know it's really popular among TPT sellers. Notes app, there have been so many times where I've been gone even at the store or at my child's school, or just out with my family at a restaurant, and all of a sudden I have an idea. And so I have a running list on my phone in the Notes app of my ideas. And so I use Notes app a lot for different things with my business. Evernote is another popular app that people like to use. All right, now, besides just being a scheduling teacher, author, boss, another important component is having a dedicated workspace so you can maximize your time and your effort into your business. So I want to show you some office ideas as well as give you pointers and tips on what should be included in your office and what should be included in your setup. And this is another fun quote that I like. She was unstoppable, not because she did not have failures or doubts, but because she continued despite them. So just never give up and know that my office space that I'm about to show you and that you can kind of see behind me, this isn't what I started with. Remember, I started with one monitor, one computer. I started in a bedroom that then turned into an office, but then had to turn into a child's bedroom. So then it went into my master bedroom, was my office. And then when we moved, we ended up dedicating a space to my office. So this is what my current office looks like now. I have tons of storage space. I love to print out all of my products and put them in binders on my shelves. I'll show you that in a minute. But I have tons of space for props for photos. I have 3 monitors, which we'll go over in a few minutes about why that's important. And I love using my background if I'm doing videos or live videos, things like that. Here's just another angle of what my video looks like, or what my office looks like. All right, so setting up a dedicated workspace. What's something important to remember? First, make the space yours. Add a touch of your brand and your personality. My kids know that when they're in my office, they're not allowed to touch my markers and pens. And I'll tell you what, that is really hard for them because I have a lot of colorful markers and pens and they're so fun, but they're mine for my business. So I've given them their own workspace. But you need to make sure the space is yours and it's dedicated to TPT. Find a room, a space, or a space or a spare corner to set up your dedicated workspace. Maybe right now you can't have a whole office. So maybe it's a corner in your kitchen. Maybe it's part of an attic. Maybe it's in your family room. But make a desk area that is dedicated. I do not want you sitting on your couch with your laptop watching Netflix. That's not how a teacher, author, boss works. You need to have a space that you go to that means it's time to work on TPT. Here are some fun examples. I love this office space here. First of all, I love the color of her room. It's really calming, but I also like her 2 monitors. I also like the table over here by the natural light. This would be a great place to take photos, and it's a great place to set up as you're cutting and putting products together. I also like this workspace. She's made it kind of a sea theme, so she's made it unique in hers, a place that's enjoyable for her to go. She's also very organized and has everything she needs right where she can get to it. Now, when you're setting up a dedicated workspace, I want you to consider multiple monitors, at least 2. So what do I do with my multiple monitors? Well, the first thing I do is I always have the project I'm working on in the center. Then I have my clip art on the left, and I just drag and drop it. I do not have to click between tabs. I do not have to insert and then choose my clip art. And it's a lot more efficient. You might think that's not that big of a deal. I don't mind going through tabs. You're wasting a lot of time. When you can just click and drag your clip art over here and you can see it all and see if it works in your project and see everything you have open, you're gonna be more efficient, you're gonna be happier, you're gonna work quicker. And then in the other screen, I usually have Google up or the internet or a project I'm working on. So in this example, I have the digital version of the paper version up. So I have my paper version and digital version up, and then always the clip art. Now, when you're setting up your workspace, you also want to remember all the technology that you need to make your workspace work for you as a teacher author. I want you to think about lighting and technology. Now, with lighting, I've tried it all. I've tried homemade lights, I've tried big box lights, and I've tried the ring light. And let's just cut to the chase. Buy the ring light. That's the best option, in my opinion. I do like the box light sometimes, but the ring light is my favorite. So when you have the money, if you don't have one yet, I would suggest buying that. Printer is important too. I print out every single one of my products and I put every single one of them together. So I like to have a good printer. I like a laser printer. I feel like the ink looks better on the page. That's just my personal preference. And then also think about a microphone. This is my latest and newest one. I started first with no microphone, and then I moved to a lapel microphone, and now I have this one. And you might not need a microphone yet in your business, and it might be something you get down the road. Laptop. Now, a lot of people are surprised to hear I didn't even have a laptop until this year. I was using a desktop only for 8 years, and then I got a laptop, and I don't know why I waited so long, but I love it. I love the ability to take it if I need to. I like having a camera to record. There's so many benefits to a laptop. I would never suggest just working on a laptop. I would suggest hooking it up to your monitors, but it is nice to have when you need it. And then a smartphone. Your smartphone can do so much. I only use, when I do pictures and photography and videos, I've only ever used a smartphone. It has a great camera and has a great other things to use for your business. All right, now, here are some other great examples of desks. I love Fun Time in First. I love her office space. She's picked a great chair and a great desk. She has it set up nice and neat. The ring light's out so she doesn't have to run around her house looking for supplies. It's right there and always ready to go. She has a great picture setup with natural light coming in as well. She has multiple monitors. She has great backgrounds here and a great supplies for both props and pictures and for when she's printing and putting them together. This is very organized, a great example of a very efficient teacher, author, boss workspace. Now, when you're setting up your workspace, you also need to think of storage. Is everything you need accessible? I print everything out because sometimes I also just need it on the fly. Maybe I want to show it in a live video. Maybe someone's having a question and I forgot how it worked because I made that product 5 or 6 years ago. So I need to be able to quickly pull it out. So make sure everything you have is easy to get to. And then think about where you can put shelves, anywhere you can put shelves. And if you have a clean working space, you'll be happier and more productive. So make sure you have it clean and organized as best you can. Now the details. The details are what create your big picture on TPT. So we want to talk about the little details that are really going to increase your office space and your business in the long run. So product photography. You want to make sure you have a place in your office where you can set up and do pictures real quick when you need to. Sometimes I've had virtual assistants that have made videos and done pictures for me, but sometimes it takes them a couple weeks if you're on their list or whatever, and I need the pictures now. So I'm glad that I have that skill and I've learned how to set it up. So here are some quick picture hacks that you should have for a photography space in your office. To save on ink and paper, print your product smaller. So here's an example of a full-size product and then smaller. When you take the picture, no one's going to know it's printed smaller, and that will save you time and ink and paper. And then never zoom in for your pictures because you can always crop when you edit. Take both portrait and landscape. And then my favorite tip is for your background, use either contact paper, colored paper, or flooring, believe it or not, from the hardware store for backgrounds. You can just get a few slats of the flooring at Home Depot or Lowe's and you can make really cool backgrounds. This one here is just contact paper I got on Amazon. Another tip for product photography is lighting. I love the ring lights. I think we've gone over that. I like the place it has where you can hook up your phone. I think it takes away a lot of the shadows. It's just really handy. Also, a good place to get props for your photo is the bullseye section at Target. This little thing is from there. Also, just art supplies, school supplies. Think of different things that go along with your product as a prop. And then your smartphone has an amazing camera, remember, for editing. So you don't need a big fancy camera. Your phone is big and fancy. So make sure to know that you can use that. Keep your photo location close to your desk where you work so you can print it off, get it done, and get back to work. Now, product photography. I just want to show you that this is where my photography started. And I remember thinking that that was so good. But that was my first picture and one of my first photos, and it took me so long to do. But with tips and tricks like I've given you now, quickly get a ring light and use the Lightroom app, and you'll be miles ahead of where I was when I started right here. And here's how my product photography is going now. These are all pictures I've taken myself. So just know it takes time and practice, but you can do it. Now, when you're setting up a product video area, it's going to be very similar to your product photo area. You want to make sure you have a lot of light in the room and that you have good props and nothing's giving off shadows. I don't have a Mac. I don't use iMovie, but I do use a program called Filmora by Wondershare. It's fairly inexpensive. It's a one-time payment and it's very user-friendly and easy to use. In fact, I can give you a quick tutorial right now of what that looks like. I just wanted to show you real quick how Filmora is a really simple editing tool you can use for your business. Something that I love having set up in my office with a microphone and on my computer. But you can have your media here, and then what you'll do is you can click and just drag and drop your media in, and then you can zoom the videos, you can change them where you want them to be. You can also add sound. So if you wanted to, let's say, get some music going here, you can add it here at the bottom. So when it plays, hi, Teresa Kwan here. I just want to tell you about me. You can have some music, and you can click on the sound here and adjust it. So that was a little too loud, obviously, so we'd adjust it here. And you can also make your video longer. This is about a 15-second video. You can also include text in your video if you'd like. So you can go to titles and you can get some fun text and some fun openers. So I think this one's fun. And you can add that at the beginning of your video, whatever you'd like. All right, now that we've kind of talked about Filmora and why I like it, go ahead and maybe that's something you want to look into. Now, when you're doing live videos, reels, and stories, I want you to think about your background, what's behind you. So think about that. Think about your background and your lighting and sound. So this is a picture of a teacher author named Wife Teacher Mommy, Kelsey. And I love her background. She used her personality and her brand colors and made a really cute background. So whenever she does a live video, her followers will see that and they'll know it's her. And that's something your followers will see is your background, and they're going to notice if it's messy or clean. So make sure you're aware of what's behind you. Now, becoming a teacher author boss, let's tie it all together. Let's make sure in the end, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to pay for groceries every month, or are you trying to do much more? What is your end goal? Are you trying to create a podcast, or are you trying to help teachers all over the country with your wonderful resources? So think of your end goal and what do you want to schedule? Maximize your time and space so you can be your best you. Your time and space. If you can maximize your time, whether that's batching all of your schedules together, finding those quick few minutes here and there, finding your dedicated time each night, maximize your time and have your dedicated space that means TPT to you. Make a schedule that keeps you on task and that is consistent. Small gains turn into big profits, and have a dedicated workspace like we've talked about. Do what you can with what you have and then build on it. I want you to know that I never thought this is where I would be, but I am so happy to be here, and you can too. I want you to know that you can be a teacher author boss, and you will be the best teacher author boss you can be by maximizing your time and your space. So just a quick reminder, join my Facebook group so that you can get in on the giveaways and you can get in on all the quick tips that we'll be talking about. We'll be extending this conversation more in the month in the Facebook group, and we'll be talking more about building spaces more and getting your schedules really solidified for the coming school year. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful TPT conference.